Longtime fans of the show should be familiar with the lender formerly known as Sue Pullen, and I'm pleased to announce that she's back, fresh off a rebrand and ready to help as Sue Mackey. Sue is a certified mortgage advisor at Fairway Independent Mortgage, an equal housing lender who focuses on finding the right product for you and your needs. She has over 20 years of experience helping thousands of homeowners. Whether it's purchasing, refinancing, or even a reverse mortgage, Sue will help. Sue's licensed in 36 states now, so reach out and let Sue Mackey it happen for you. The best way to reach her is just give her a call at 520-977-7904 or in an email, spullen@fairwaymc.com. Fairway Independent Mortgage has an MLS number of 2289. Sue Mackey has an MLS number of 206048. That email again, spullen@fairwaymc.com, and that phone number is 520-977-7904. Shoot Sue an email and let her know she needs to update that address.
You are listening to an entertainment program put together by a company called Financial Ineptitude. Anything said on this show is not an endorsement or professional advice. Would you really want to tell a court of law you were suing us because you thought taking financial advice from two idiots on a podcast put out by Financial Ineptitude was a good idea? Really? Clown hat, smiley face.
Well, hello, everybody, and welcome back to the China Shop. I'm your host, Kyle, and today I am joined by the adept and altruistic Anmol Singh, founder of Live Traders and the author of Prepping for Success. If you'd like to learn more about Anmol, make sure you check out his website at livetraders.com, or you can grab a copy of that aforementioned book. It is on Amazon right now. And finally, if you'd like to reach out with any suggestions, corrections, or questions for future guests, you can do that via email at twobulls@financialineptitude.com, or you can join our free Discord server where a bunch of amazing people gather to share our struggles and lessons learned with other like-minded market aficionados. We'll have all those links in the episode description so you can peruse them at your convenience. Now that we got that business stuff out of the way, let's get to know today's guest. Anmol, how are you doing today?
Doing great. Thanks for having me. Looking forward to chatting with you.
Yeah, it's kind of a last minute thing here. I mentioned as before we hit the recording here that I'm planning to take a trip to Phoenix tomorrow. So thank you for having the quick turnaround time on getting this thing scheduled.
No, definitely.
And you said your business partner is located out in Phoenix?
Yep, he used to be in Phoenix. Now he's in Scottsdale. We're actually having our live trading event next month. It's going to be hosted in Phoenix.
Oh, dang it. It's not going to be the next week, is it?
No, it's in November 4th, November 7th, so a couple days.
Damn it. No, I should push my trip back a month. It'd be fun to go check that out.
Yeah.
How'd you meet the guy? You spent a lot of time in Arizona?
No, I'm in New York City. So I'm in New York. He's always been in Arizona, but he used to, teach me how to trade. Like he was my mentor. So early on, when I was starting to learn how to trade, that's when I came across Jared, and he was, teaching for a different company at that time as a prop firm. I joined that prop firm and started trading the prop firm's capital. So that's how it started. That's how I met him. And then when that firm got bought out in 2015, I called him. I said, hey, I'm your case study right here. Why don't, instead of you joining the firm that's been bought out, why don't we team up and we start this to teach the same method you used on me on other people?
Sounds like you guys are pretty successful too. I saw that you've been rated number 1 for the last 3 years, which that's quite an accomplishment with the amount of competition in this space.
Yeah, definitely. I think there's definitely a lot of competition, but I think kind of what the name is, the live traders is what separates us is we trade live every single day. So for the last, we started in 2015 and every single day since it was live streamed, win or lose, people get to see it in real time. So I think that's one of the things that people liked.
That's one of the things I love to see because you don't see that very often from a lot of the other gurus out there. They never show their losing trades or they don't even show their trades either. Like
Totally.
Do after the market commentary. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the big thing in trading because, everybody can talk a great game. They can teach. Everybody can make slideshows and stuff like that. But can you back it up every single day? I think that's one of the days. And we do it 5 days a week, Monday to Friday, every day.
So you kind of mentioned a little bit how you met your business partner, but how did you let's go back a little further. How did you get into like trading in general?
So I was in my college in my dorm room and in London, and there, before you graduate, you have to have like 1 year's worth of work experience, either internship or a job or something before you can graduate. And then that year, I was applying to a lot of different jobs and internships, and I just couldn't get in anywhere. Didn't get a single little job. So I said, okay, I have to probably figure something else. And I was in my dorm reading a lot of books on this topic, reading a lot of videos, taking courses, because I had to do something in that year, not waste it. So I did that, and I really got curious about it, really got into it. And that's where I was taking a course online, and Jared was one of the top, instructors, and he was talking about losing trades a lot more than his winners, which I really like. It was a fresh change for me,
Mm-hmm.
listening to that, and that's kind of where I got started. Joined the prop firm and started on a demo account. Then they gave me 50,000 to trade with, 75, and it just kept going up all the way to level 10, where they give you $10 million to trade. And in exchange, they took 30% of everything that I made. So I started there, and I just got into it, worked my way up in the firm from level 1, level 5, level 6, and then yeah, that's how the originality of trading started.
It sounds like it was a pretty smooth entry then. Was it as smooth as you described it? Were there a lot of ups and downs along the path?
I wish it was that smooth. I think now I now I can talk about it. But the first year I lost money on my whole first year. I didn't
Yeah.
make a single dime. I think I had called up my dad, said, "Hey, I'm learning this trading thing," and how Indian parents are. We think about it as gambling. We don't believe in the stock market. You got to be a doctor or a lawyer or somebody like
Yeah.
that.
Yep.
So, but my dad, we had saved up some money. I said, "Hey, the money that we've been saving up, can I have that? I'd like to use it for for trading." And he said, "Okay." He thought it'll be a great lesson for me to lose it all and never go back to the market.
Uh,
So
Gotta love parents, right?
yeah, so he gave me $10,000, and sure enough, I lost 5,000 of that like within first month. I lost all of it,
Right.
half of it, and then I had like 5 or 6 thousand remaining. That's when I joined the prop firm. You had to have a buy-in to the prop firm, so you put up
Hmm.
that capital, and then in exchange they put you in their program. So that's how it originally started. But yeah, I didn't make any money my first year. Lost money. Second year was kind of break even ish. Getting there. Third year is when I finally started making money. But
Hmm.
it's still, even the third year when I was making money, it wasn't like anything to write home about, right? Like, oh
Right.
yeah.
You just
So
basically you weren't losing anymore.
exactly. I mean, you're making
Yeah.
money, but it's not gonna. It's not a great living, so to speak.
Right.
So fourth year is when I really started getting it. When I realized that, okay, it's not really about the chart patterns. Like, I know all of that. It's about
Hmm.
your ability to stick to it. It's about
Hmm.
your ability to follow through and follow your trading plan and be disciplined and not trade on emotion. So once I mastered that part, that's when a lot of the things change. When I just stopped trading emotionally and more so based on statistics and my trading plan.
Was there any like specific moments that kind of stand out to you that had a big effect on that realization?
Yeah, I remember. There was a time, I was in my toilet and I was looking at, the mirror, and that is a prop firm when I was trading for. So they would give you levels. Okay, if you hit, let's say, $500 a week, 2 weeks in a row, we'll promote you to a next level. Then the
Hmm.
next level might be $1,000 a week, 2 weeks in a row. And there was a time where I just plateaued at, like, I think I was at level 3 in the firm, where I was
Hmm.
trading 150,000 of their dollars of their capital, and I kept missing my targets all the time. Like, I would hit it 1 week, but you had to hit it 2 weeks in a row to get be promoted. So I hit it 1 week. The next week I would do something stupid, or I would miss my target, but let's say $100. So to try to make up that $100, I'd manufacture trades that didn't exist, right?
Right.
And then I would miss that target, and I just kept I got stuck there for like a many months. And I remember looking at myself in the mirror in my bathroom, and I was like, man, is this my potential? Like, is this how far I can get? That's a pretty big plateau. Maybe I should give up. Maybe I should quit. I thought about it many times, and I remember I called Jared and I said, hey, I don't know if I can continue on because I'm stuck here, and I think this is how good I am. He was like,
Hmm.
okay, let me take a look at your trades. And what if you just held it as per your plan to your target, and you didn't sell it too soon? You didn't get out too quickly on the trade. And I worked out the numbers, and yeah, if I just held on to what I said the stock is going to do, like my trading plan, my
Hmm.
analysis, I would have hit my targets.
Right.
So it was then I realized that it's not about the charts or about the trading strategy. It's actually about me. I would sell too soon. I would hold on to losers too long, hoping they'll come back up. If I just eliminated those mistakes, I could actually be really profitable. So that's when I realized, wow, it's actually just about my emotions.
Wow. That seems to be like the realization a lot of people have, I think, that I've spoken to is like a lot of people have the knowledge, but it all comes down to, like you said, whether you can execute and stick to your plan. Like, can you hold it and let those targets hit, or are you going to sell short and cost yourself money? Or are you going to take stops that are outsized? Like a lot of it all just seems to come right back to what's in between, like your ears, right?
100%. Because, anybody can learn how to trade, but it takes a different mindset to learn how to make money.
Hmm. Can you speak to some of the differences then, as you see them now, looking back?
Yeah, I think back then there was a couple things. A, you have to back test your trades. So all the strategies that we do, we test them over different market environments. You know, up
Hmm.
markets, down markets, earning seasons, non-earning seasons. We back test all these strategies. Then we know, okay, this strategy has a win rate of 62%. It's gonna, and the winner is going to be X amount, loser is going to be X amount. So now you work out the expectancy, is what we call it, the trade expectancy formula. You could Google that online. Listeners can
Hmm.
Google that. But in that, so now that I know, if every single winner, I just ensure if my winners are twice the size of my losers, if I just ensure that, then I could be wrong 6 out of 10 times and still make money,
Yeah.
right? I
Yep.
could be right 4 times out of 10 and still make money. So it's not about having a high win rate. Where a lot of people, newer traders, think that they need to have a high win rate. Not really. If I think if you're winning 50%, that's great as long as your winners are twice your losers. Then it's just like a casino, right?
Yeah.
Casino has the edge, the odds in their favor. So that's the only thing I work on, is like try to get odds in my favor. Once I have that, now see how emotionally controlled you can be when you know what to expect. You know that
Hmm.
if you take 100 trades, you're going to lose, let's say, on 40 of them. 60 of them are going to make money. So, you know, if a loser happens, do not be too down on yourself. It's part of the overall strategy.
That is one of the hardest things that I've found is like when you've done all the work, you've done all the back testing, and then you go and you try to do it live, even if it's in a simulated environment. Like, it seems like the first like 5 trades are always wrong or losers, and then you immediately right back to that self-doubt again, and all that hard work you just did, like you're questioning it again. Like,
Yeah,
how do
and that's
you
the beauty about trading, because you know, as we talked about, if you have a 60% win rate, then you know, okay, four can be losers, but it's also possible the four losers come back to back,
right.
right? So
Right.
that is when you kind of, that's where the emotional control and self discipline comes in.
Are there any like what's the right word, not tools or coping mechanisms or any like exercises you do when like you find yourself like starting to question the work that you've done?
I mean, is, you know, just GUAL we talk about is just get up and leave. You know, put your targets, put your stop loss in the system, right? So your risk is protected. Put your
Hmm.
target in the system, and now don't mess with the trade. Let the odds work out. You know, the more we try to tweak it, optimize it, fix it, you know, try to, I think it's going to come down, let me sell it here, I'll buy it back. The more we try to work the trade, the worse it is for your psychology. The easiest
Hmm.
thing to do is plan out the trade beforehand, and it's okay, this is my exit point if I'm wrong, this is my exit point if I'm right, and now you just let the trade freaking work. Don't mess with it.
You know, that's I just had a thought about that. That by getting up and walking away, you are following exactly what you've like put to paper, right? It's your plan.
Exactly.
And if it doesn't work, then the plan didn't work. It's not you that meddled and uh, pardon the French, but fucked it up. Like I think
Yeah.
that's where a lot of the self doubt and like the real like those critical thoughts and like the anxiety and all that comes in is when you start to go in there and meddle with it, and then the changes that you do are what is costing you money.
Yeah. And one of the exercises I give a lot of my students is, okay, write down as per your plan, last 100 trades, if you followed your plan completely, how much you would have made. And then in the next column, write down how much you actually made using your
Hmm.
brain, right? Thinking you know too much. So write down what you actually did and what you would have made if you held to your plan. That's a biggest eye opener. That was a big eye opener for me, because I look back over my last 6 months and I say, okay, my plan actually made, let's say, X amount, right?
Hmm.
And I, using my brilliant brain, I was actually losing money. So I'm like, wow. So if I just take the exact same trades that I took, but if I just held it to as per my plan, I would have actually been profitable. So then
Hmm.
that's the big eye opener. But you know, looking at those numbers on a spreadsheet, because you know anybody can lie to you. A spreadsheet's not going to lie to you. Numbers are not going to lie to you. So I think that looking at a hardcore facts in your face is, I think it'll give you that, it'll appeal to your logical brain to say, okay, I should stop messing around and just do what my plan says.
I love that. So you tell me about the book then, because the book is a lot more general than just specifically like learning how to trade or trading help, trading psychology. Like this is something that looks like it applies to all aspects of life.
Totally. I mean, the book has really nothing to do with trading, but it still has everything to do with trading, because it's all about your psychology. It's about your mindset, how you approach things. And one of the things I talk about in the book is, you know, basic concept of integrity, like
Hmm.
being a person of integrity. Do what you said you're going to do, and then do it when you said you're going to do it. There's no ifs and buts, right? Like, so
Hmm.
that applies to your trading. You have a trading plan, you tested it. Now do what your plan said you're going to do. If you're going to exit a trade here, make sure you exit the trade there. So trading with integrity is a big thing. So a lot of the concepts in the book are not to do with trading, but they apply to trading. And these are just rules that I wrote for myself after, working on my mindset, hiring a
Hmm.
ton of coaches and mentors, and going to different seminars and workshops and doing all those things, spent hundreds of thousands of dollars in my personal development. So these were just notes for myself that I wrote. And one of my friends came by, he read my notes, he's like, wow, this is actually really good, you should try to turn this into a book. That's when I got the idea, okay, maybe I can. And
Hmm.
then that's where it started. But it was just notes for myself on what I need to do to be successful.
Wow. Tell me more about the four laws then, because I know I was able to read through like some of the sample treatments, and one of that was one of the things that really kind of stuck out to me. The four laws that you kind of highlighted there.
Yeah, so I think we talked about integrity. The other part, like the 10 keys I talk about in the book, and then the second one was just being a person of action. Because a lot of times, we read a lot of stuff, and people do that all the time. They go from one book to another book, right? This book to that
Yeah.
book, one podcast to another podcast, one video to another video. Just keep hopping around. They just become sort of like information, just hoarding information rather than actually acting on it. So I think that's one of the things is stop being stuck in the learning loop where you think you're missing something. I want to
Hmm.
learn more. I got to learn more. And that's coming from a place of lack. Rather apply it. I'd rather people read one book and fully apply that than go and read 10 books and try to not do anything and just move on. Because there's a huge difference between, knowledge and information. So a lot of people think, oh, I'm really knowledgeable. Not really, right? True knowledge is applied
Right.
knowledge. Your life should demonstrate the evidence of you applying that knowledge. If it doesn't, that's just information.
Oh, that's an interesting distinction. Like, I could read a book on how to build a bridge, but until I've actually went and tried to do it, like
Yeah.
that knowledge is. I mean, yeah, it gives me a leg up from somebody who has no idea what they're doing, but it's still probably going to fail.
Yeah, it's just information. I mean, people can Google information and they'll get great amount of information, but true knowledge is when you can apply it and there's evidence in your life showing that you applied it.
I also like that too because a lot of the time, like we think that we need more knowledge, but that's not necessarily the case either. Like I think a lot of the people who have been struggling for a year or two probably have all the knowledge that they need at that point. Like really, it's just about putting it all together and coming up with something that works for you that you can execute.
Absolutely. And I opened my book with that. I said, hey, there's nothing new here. You probably
Yeah,
have read
yeah.
it in some form or fashion. You've read it. You know it, right? It's just that you don't act on it. And that's why every single chapter in the book I ended with, okay, before you move on to the next chapter, you got to do these four things, right? So make sure you
Hmm.
really apply that material and integrate it in your life. Because otherwise it's just going to be another book you read. And yeah, it's a great book, but if you didn't act on it, then what good is it? So I think that's one of the things is realizing you don't need more information. You just need more action.
Hmm. Now, one of the things when I was looking through this, so the four major laws that you mentioned are the principles that govern our success in life. You've called out knowledge, patience, competence, and discipline. And I thought knowledge was a really neat one that was on there. Like you spent a lot of time talking about just self improvement and like learning for the sake of learning almost.
Right. Yeah, the KPCD formula, because a knowledge, you need to know what to do first of all, right? But then after you've got the knowledge, now you need to have patience to wait for the right opportunity, and like, all of this applies to trading too.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Knowledge on knowing what to do, patience to be waiting for that opportunity, and then for confidence, having the confidence when the opportunity presents itself to pull the trigger, to act
Hmm.
on it rather than just keep watching from the sidelines. And then now that you've executed on it with confidence, last step is discipline. Follow through on your plan before getting out. So once you follow that, and anything that applies to an entrepreneur running his business, it applies to traders, applies to everything. It's a KPC formula for success.
Yeah. Well said. One of the things that also kind of stuck out on here, you talked about like the difference between common sense and the actual application of that. And the example that you pointed to was like we all know what we need to do to lose weight,
Yep.
but yet 71% of America is basically obese or overweight. But they know what to do, but nobody actually goes and does it. Why do you think it's so difficult to actually get started on that path to self-improvement?
Because we negotiate with ourselves, right? We have these little micro negotiations that go in our mind. And again, I'm guilty of the same thing. Last 3-4 years I was traveling all over the world, living the business dream, chasing the money dream, right? Also having a good
Hmm.
time. And I kind of let go of my health too, and I was like, okay, I mean, how did that even happen? How did I get to this point? And then it dawned on me that it's not about having the knowledge, but those little negotiations we make with ourselves. Today it's okay, it's just one day, right? And then it translates into a
Uh-huh.
whole week. And then you're like, okay, it's just, it's Friday. I'll start from Monday, right? And then Monday comes, you're like, well, but it's the 28th of the month. I'll start from the first, right? Those
Right.
little
Right.
micro negotiations that we don't notice, but they add up and they cause a tremendous impact in our life. And that's how I impacted my health in a negative way in that time frame when I was traveling. Oh, today it's okay. I can go to this party. I could do this. I could do that. And then you kind of let go. And I think that's one of the things, you put yourself back on it, and you, again, have the patience with yourself, but then the discipline, the confidence. Yes, I can do it, and the discipline to follow through. I think that's one of the key characteristics.
Wow, that feels like you're reading my journals almost. Because yeah, that I think we all do that. Like, oh yeah, I don't need to go to bed early today. I'll just go to bed. I can make deal with one day, not going to bed on time, and then wake up late, and then now your sleep schedule's all screwed up for the rest of the week, and you're like, oh, I'll just start fresh on Monday, no big deal.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you just keep negotiating yourself out ad infinitum.
Yeah, and it's the worst negotiation because you, no matter how much you negotiate, you're going to become out on the losing end of the negotiation.
That's another good point. Jeez. Longtime fans of the show should be familiar with the lender formerly known as Sue Pullen, and I'm pleased to announce that she's back, fresh off a rebrand and ready to help as Sue Mackey. Sue is a certified mortgage advisor at Fairway Independent Mortgage, an equal housing lender who focuses on finding the right product for you and your needs. She has over 20 years of experience helping thousands of homeowners. Whether it's purchasing, refinancing, or even a reverse mortgage, Sue will help. Sue's licensed in 36 states now, so reach out and let Sue Mackey it happen for you. The best way to reach her is just give her a call at 520-977-7904 or in an email, spullen@fairwaymc.com. Fairway Independent Mortgage has an MLS number of 2289. Sue Mackey has an MLS number of 206048. That email again, spullen@fairwaymc.com, and that phone number is 520-977-7904. Shoot Sue an email and let her know she needs to update that address. Okay, so like on the one hand, yeah, we don't want to let ourselves win those micro negotiations all the time, but also like, is there a worry about going too far on the other side, like never cutting yourself any slack, never letting yourself slip, or being too hard on yourself, like when you do end up failing?
Yeah, and that you can set up a reward system for yourself. Like, now and again, it's okay. Like, you got to give yourself some slack. Where if you've been working hard, the thing is, what are you going to do? The Pareto principle, 80-20, right?
Mm-hmm.
As long as you're doing the right things 80% of the time, 20% of the time, if you don't do it, like, it's okay, right? Live your life, it's fine. But like, don't be too hard on yourself. But you got to make sure you're at least doing 80% of the time, or 80% of the days, 80% of the hours in the day, you're doing, with discipline. Now,
Mm-hmm.
20% hours, sure, have fun, go meet some friends, play some golf, do whatever you need to do. But that 80-20 rule applies here too, is like, most of the time you got to be on your A game. Again, it depends on, it's not for everybody, right? Like, look at Elon Musk. He's on 100% all the time. I couldn't do that the way
Oh,
he
I know.
handled several different companies, SpaceX, then goes to Tesla, then goes to X. Like, I can't do that either, but it's about like, how much are your dreams worth to you?
Right.
Only you can answer that question, right?
Yeah, that's a good point. There's another thing you talked about in the book too, was the definition of success that I found was kind of interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know that I've necessarily defined that for myself. Like, what do I consider successful? And that seems like a very important thing that you've got to figure out if you want to actually go and achieve any of those goals. You got to know where you're going.
Absolutely. And my definition of success has evolved over time. When I started, it was just about, okay, financial success. If I have more money, then that means I'm successful. If I have a great
Mm-hmm.
business, then I'm successful. But then that's kind of what dawned on me, that, okay, I met one of my mentors. He's an older guy, really successful business owner. And I talked to him. He's like, but hey, imagine you have all this money, right? And now you got a massive headache, or you have a sore throat, right? Doesn't
Mm-hmm.
matter how much money you have. You're going to be miserable, right? So your health is also priority. And then it kind of, my definition of success evolved over time, because I could be really successful monetarily, but if my health is a mess, if my relationships are a mess, I can't even get along with anybody, then am I really successful?
Yeah.
Probably not. At the same time, you meet people who are in best shape of their life. They got six pack abs, but if you're broke, is that really success? Not really. So then I
Mm-hmm.
defined that success is having harmony in all areas of your life, right? Your relationships, your health, your wealth, right? Overall, your mindset. So once you are achieving success in all areas of your life, and you being okay with where you're at in each of those areas, right?
Mm-hmm.
That is true success. But paying attention and harmonizing all those areas and not being a one dimensional person.
Is there a difference between being okay with where you're at and also still wanting to improve?
Absolutely. I think in your mind, you know, okay, I'm doing my best, right? This is where I want to go. But at
Hmm.
the moment, yeah, I'm okay with where I'm at. And, I can work on it. I can strive for more. You can always strive for more and have more ambition. But you need to be okay with where you're at. What I mean by that is a lot of times deep down, let's say we're not doing, there's things we know we should be doing. There's
Hmm.
things we know we can do, but we're not doing it. And that's when you're not okay with it. That's when you're not okay with yourself, right?
Right.
But if you are doing everything, you're functioning on your A game, you're firing on all cylinders, right? You're going meeting after meeting. Let's say your day is packed, your schedule's packed, you're meeting people, your calendar's full, you're doing everything it needs to be taken. Then you're going to be okay with where you're at. The only deep down our unconscious mind knows, hey, I'm not giving it my best. I could be doing it way more, right? And that's when you're not going to
Yeah.
be with yourself.
That's a great point too. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's when I feel the downest is when I put something off, but I am also not happy with where I'm sitting right now too.
Right.
But
And
that's
and that
also
comes
kind of
from
a really like hard spiral to dig yourself out of. So like how do you keep yourself motivated to keep doing those things then?
I think it's just not giving yourself too much idle time. I think ideal time is when we end up messing up. So I try to pack my calendar. So the night before, I think Jordan Peterson talked about it, having your ideal day where you schedule out. Okay, if I did all these things, this is an ideal day. I'd be really happy with my day, right?
Mhm.
Great. Now just go out and schedule that day, right?
Yeah.
So if you schedule out that day, you're going to have that ideal day, right? But if your calendar is a lot of empty spots in your calendar, you're just sitting on your computer, you're browsing the internet, you're watching stuff, you're not actually taking action. You're just
Mhm.
gathering more information. Then you're not going to have the ideal day, and you're not going to feel good about yourself. But if you're firing on all cylinders, right? You're utilizing your time correctly, like Elon does. Then at the end of the day, you're going to sleep really well because you did everything. You gave it your all.
Ah, man, my wife's going to love this episode. She's a huge fan of lists. She wants to have as many things on a checklist as she can because the joy she gets from crossing an item off is what keeps her going.
That's a great strategy psychologically because it,
Right.
it gives it trains your brain with the dopamine receptors. Every time you check something up, it gives you that good feeling. So you want to keep doing more and more of that.
Mhm. You mentioned a couple different times mentors. That's something that we've kind of talked a little bit about on this program, but never really dove too deep into it. Like, how important was your mentor to your success? And then it looks like you've also been doing a lot of mentorships for other people. Tell me about the differences between the roles from being on the receiving end of a mentorship and being on the other side of it.
Yeah, I think mentorship and apprenticeship and all these things, it's a lost art. Back in the day, that's
Yeah.
how successful business owners used to grow. Is you'd have somebody, you clerk for somebody, right? You work for somebody, you maybe their caddy at a golf club.
Right.
There's all these things that you would hear about previous successful people in their autobiographies. It's a lost art now because people want instant gratification. They want the results now. They want to be that guy rather than
Right.
humbling yourself and say, okay, I'm gonna devote myself to this person and I'm gonna learn everything from him. And then because before a student can become a master, first you got to become a student.
Right.
It's as simple as that. So I think that's why I try to surround myself with mentors in all areas of my life. From trading, then when it comes to business, I'd have different mentors. Recently, I've been working with a trainer, so I have a health mentor. Right,
Hmm.
I try to get mentors in all areas of your life because you could go out research for hundreds of hours something, spend all of your hours, or you could just pay somebody for it, right? So I mean, you're gathering somebody's experience who's studied this thing for his life, and you're getting all of his life experience in just a short amount of money or a short amount of time. Like that's worth a lot. You could go out and trial and error it yourself, waste a lot of time and energy, but time is more valuable to me than money is. So money I can make it back, time I could never get back. So I would rather hire the experts who know more than me, and that comes from a place of humbling yourself, realizing you don't know everything. You're not the
Hmm.
best at everything. I might be really good at trading, but maybe not at other things. So then there are people who are smarter than me, and I will try to surround myself because I'm getting all of the years worth of experience in a short amount of time.
What do you think goes into like a good mentor? Like what should you expect from somebody who knows like who really is doing it right?
You should want to be able to trade places with them, right? Because if you
Hmm.
don't want to trade places with them, then that's not the right person to learn from. Like, for example, and that doesn't mean trade places in all of their life. For example, if I'm learning to trade from somebody, okay, you're watching their trading results, you're observing it. Now, would you want those trading results? If yes,
Right.
then that's a great person to learn from. Now, if I'm working with a personal trainer, he is ripped, right? Like he is
Right.
in great shape. I would want to trade places with that in terms of my body is concerned. So then you want to be able to trade places with them. That's the biggest barometer that I go by. And then secondly, how do you get along with them? Can you get
Hmm.
along with them on a personal level outside of just a business relationship? I think that's really important too. And their ability to coach and train you through that, because there's a lot of great mentors that have all the best information, but if they can't inspire you to take action on that information, then it's just more information. You might as well get it off Google.
Hmm.
So, great mentor needs to be able to push you as well as motivate you, inspire you, and give you the best information.
Yeah, it's something that I've noticed when I've talked to people about this, either on the podcast or just out in my general life, is that it's a two-way street. Like the mentor has to have some certain things that you got to look for, but the mentoree also should be looking for certain things from his mentor and expecting certain things from them too. Like it's not just a one-way knowledge flow. Like there's needs on both sides that need to be met.
Absolutely. I think absolutely. And you need to know what you're looking from that mentorship relationship before you get into it. Like
Hmm.
a lot of times you'll get messages from people on Instagram or Twitter, "Hey, would you be my mentor?" I'm like, that's not how you get a mentor. You just ask them the question. So what does that even mean? Would you be my mentor? Like, does that mean I'm going to hold your hand? No.
Right.
Like instead, mentorship could be as simple as if I, let's say, like somebody on Instagram, I'm like, hey, I want to know what he's doing about that. I would rather just directly message, hey, could you tell me a little bit how you did this, this, this? And if he answers that question, that's mentorship,
Ah, right. It doesn't
right?
have to necessarily be a
That's
formal thing. You just take in information when you can
Yeah,
get
it
it.
doesn't have to be a formal thing. Yeah, I mean, maybe people listening to the podcast, you're their mentor, right? You're sharing the information, you're bringing on other expert guests. So you're their mentor. So mentorship doesn't have to be this formal relationship where we're meeting every day for coffee.
Right.
It could just be like, hey, I have this burning question. I keep making this mistake in my trading. Here's what my spreadsheet is saying. What do you think I could do about it? And they answered your question. That's mentorship. Now, if you don't act on it, then it's not mentorship, right?
Right. Right. Um, okay, I got a couple other just questions that I like to just ask, just based on your experience helping traders through the room and then through with the book as well. Can you kind of speak to some of the common issues that you see this struggling traders dealing with, and then like what do you tell
Yeah.
those people when they do come to you for help?
I think the biggest mistake traders make is, again, trading without a plan. They don't have any plan of when they're going to buy the stock, when they're going to get out if they're wrong, when they're going to get out when they're right. They don't have any of that. They're just trading on their emotion, on their whim. I feel this stock is going to do
Hmm.
this. I think this stock is going to do this. What you think doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
Like the market is bigger than you and I. The market was here before we were born. It's going to be here long after we die, right? So the market knows everything, and you are not smarter than the market. In fact, take a look at the most so-called experts like Jim Cramer or biggest hedge funds in the world. They were all down last year
Right.
in 2022. They all lost money in 2020. So clearly nobody knows anything, right? It's just about finding your own little edge and then following that discipline trading plan. You got to stick to it, not trade on emotion. And I think people get caught up in the two biggest emotions, fear and greed, you know and
Yeah.
Warren Buffett talks about buy and hold, but what most people end up doing is buy and hope,
Yeah. Yeah.
and hope is not a strategy.
So, like, what are some of the tools that you give those people to try to help shift them from that emotional trading towards, like, actually like having a thought out plan?
Yeah, so you have to back test your trades. So you have to go back in time and say, okay, if I took the same exact technical, let's say, trading pattern, how did it do over the last 1 year, 6 months, last 100 trades? If I took this pattern, what are the statistics of that?
Hmm.
So if I ask a trader, okay, you're taking this trade, what are the odds of this trade over the last few years? And if they can't answer that, then you don't have a plan,
Right.
right? Like a casino knows to the penny pretty much that this is their edge. I think 0.5% edge is what casinos have, very small edge, but they don't mind if somebody wins a big hand at the casino.
Right.
They just want you to keep playing,
Yep.
right? Hey, here's a free drink. Here's some girl who's going to massage you. Just stay, just keep playing, because they know the longer you play, their edge is going to work in their favor and they're going to be coming out ahead. And so a trader needs to answer, if I ask them, okay, what's your win loss ratio, right? What's your win rate? What's your expectancy? And you need to be able to answer those questions and do your homework and do your due diligence, because I mean, people are competing against this traders from big hedge funds, Goldman Sachs, right?
Hmm.
My company. If you're competing with them, because trading is a competition, anytime you're buying a stock, there's somebody on the other side selling it to you. So either you're right or either he's right. So if you're going to compete in this competitive landscape, you need to know your odds. What is your edge? How much of an edge do you have? So I think we talked about this earlier. If I'm going to be winning, let's say 5 out of 10 trades, I'm going to be losing on 5. But if I know that if my winners are twice the size of my losers, if I just ensure that part, well, then I'm a profitable trader. I don't need to think about anything else.
Speaking of the zero sum game that you kind of mentioned there, like, is there a concern that if you taught everybody how to trade correctly, that nothing would work anymore?
Not really, because I understand that humans are emotional. So even if you teach them everything, right, they're going to do something
I
stupid.
can
So
speak for that.
yeah. Yeah. So I mean, we all can. We've all
Yeah,
done that
yeah.
at certain times in our career. So I think that's why I'm not concerned about it, because it's not technically a zero sum game technically,
Right. Yeah.
because let's say I could buy a stock at 45, right? Let's say I sold it to you at 46, you sold it to somebody else at 47, right?
Hmm.
And we're all making money along the way. There's going to be the one guy at the end who's going to come out losing, but we're all made money along that journey. So and the difference is we could all be in the exact same stock,
Hmm.
right, at the exact same time, but our returns will be vastly different based on when we entered the stock,
Right.
right, and when we get out of the stock. It could be the exact same thing. You could have Tesla in your portfolio. I could have Tesla in my portfolio. Our returns are going to be vastly different based on where we entered and exited. So I think that is I don't think that's ever going to be. Market's way too big for and I don't have that much of an impact to teach everybody.
um, Starting to kind of run up to the end here, so I think I just kind of want to ask you one or two more things here. Let's start with like if you can go back in time and give yourself information, like what would you tell like the struggling you to try to like help alleviate some of the pains that you encountered on your journey?
I I'll tell myself, a be more patient, right? Don't try to get rich quick. Don't try to go for the home run. Just focus on singles and doubles, and trade with discipline. Nobody knows anything. Market's way bigger than you and I, so let's just stick to what we have back tested that we know it works, and let's not use our judgment that this is going to be the next big company. Doesn't matter, right? Just take good trades along the way, singles and doubles. Don't try to hit home runs like a lot of these crypto people were trying to hit.
Right. Uh, Let me ask you this now. Had somebody come and gave you that talk, do you think you would have listened to them, or do you think it would have made any difference along the way? Or do you think you have to kind of go through those hardships in order to really solidify those lessons?
I think I would have definitely paid a lot more attention to it, but I think you're totally spot on. You kind of have to mess up, right?
Yeah.
Because that's when the emotions really, you can feel your emotions. That feeling when you take a big loss and feels like somebody punched you in the stomach.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah.
feel like throwing up. So I think you need to go through that to a certain extent. Now, what a mentor and stuff can ensure is that those downturns are not damaging, or it's not going to cause you to blow up, right? Like that's one of the things, because you need to have money in your account to be in order to trade consistently. So, but yeah, I still think I would still had to have mess up. That's just my personality. Like I learned the hard way. I make stupid mistakes, and I'm like, okay, not doing it again. Just like a child,
Yeah.
puts his hand on a hot stove, and he's like, "Ooh, I'm not going to do that
It's exactly the analogy I was thinking of. Yeah.
again."
Like, I told you it was hot. Why'd you do it? Well, I didn't know what hot was.
Yeah, totally.
All right.
That's what we are.
Last thing then. Do you have anything else you want to say about the book, or any other resources that you'd like to point people to who maybe want to learn more about some of the stuff we talked about today?
Yeah, definitely. If anybody's interested in trading, investing, you could visit livetraders.com or livetradersguide.com, where you'll get a free introductory course and a guide. That's where you can get started, and maybe you watch it and you're like, okay, this is not for me, and that's totally fine. But that'll give you a pretty good insight. In terms of the book, it's on Amazon, Barnes and Nobles, Prepping for Success. One of the biggest things that talk about in the book, as we talked about earlier, is integrity.
Mm-hmm.
Being a man or woman of integrity. Do what you said you're going to do, and then do it when you said you're going to do it. I mean, just think about how much your quality of your life would be different if you did every single thing you said you're going to do, and you did it when you said you're going to do it. Like life would be so much better. You'd be way more successful. So I think that's one of the most important keys to live by. And yeah, people can always reach out to me on Instagram or Twitter. My username on both of those is Delta90, DELTA99ETY. Don't ask me why. Had it a long time ago. Didn't change it.
Delta 90. Okay, I got that. Make sure I have all those links in the episode description. Fortunately, we have come to the end of our time with Anmol here, but remember that every setting sun leads to a new dawn. I'd like to say thank you, Anwar, for like we said, the short turnaround, for getting over here, and the just the great discussion about psychology and just self improvement. I've been digging more into the psychology the more I've been learning about trading, and I just love these discussions. I love learning more about myself. Micro negotiations. I'm going to be on the lookout for those.
Yeah. I'm glad to hear that, and great chatting with you as well. Thanks for having me.
Like we said, we can check out the book, Prepping for Success. You can find that on Amazon or Barnes & Noble, as he mentioned, and also livetraders.com or Live Traders Guide. We'll have all those links in the episode description so you can check them out at your convenience. We'll be back soon with another exciting episode, but till that day, invest in yourself by hitting that 5-star button so we can keep getting quality guests like Anmol to learn from, and take care.
Two Bulls in a China Shop is an entertainment program, and all thoughts and opinions expressed in the show belong to the hosts and not of any company. They are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual or on any specific security or investment product. It is only intended to provide entertainment about stocks and the financial industry of trading. If you make trades based on what you hear in this show, you assume all risks for those trades.